And the in-depth chart. Been working through this feature day by day as I've done it on LouisianaSports.net every day. About 8 o'clock, got 3 more to go. We tackled the edge position today on in-depth chart. And I'll just say this to begin the segment. I think this group is awesome. I think they have put together a difference-making group.
The best position group, is it perhaps?
I'm gonna rank those at the end of this feature.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry.
I haven't done it yet in my head. I just decided that's what I'm going to do. Edge will be in the discussion with wide receiver.
I mean, I guess you could say quarterback, but I mean, it's tough to say quarterback because it's really just,
and those are the 3 that'll be in the discussion, and we'll see. I think it's possible it could be first. And you look at and part of the reason is the talent they've acquired. Part of the reason is what Kevin Peoples showed me last year. He took Braden Swinson and Savion Jones, who Savion had played 3 years at LSU, and Braden Swinson had played 4 years at Oregon and LSU total. And Swinson had 2 sacks. In his first year at LSU, his career total was 5. Savion Jones had 4.5 sacks and 3.5 tackles for loss. These guys were not productive players. And they became a fierce edge duo. Swinson was one of the better pass rushers in the SEC. Savion Jones went in the 3rd round of the Broncos. It is almost inarguable to me that Kevin Peoples' impact on those 2 guys was substantial. And then you look at the talent level that they've got on this team. And if he can get a similar jump in production from these guys, look out. Because you lose Swinson and Jones. Paris Shand moves on through graduation as well. He signed with the Bills. And then Deshaun Womack transfers to Ole Miss. So that's what you lost from edge. But Gabriel Reliford's back. Dylan Carpenter's back. Kalaj Cobbins is back. C.J. Jackson is back. Those guys were on last year's roster. Reliford's the only one that really played, but you have 3 other guys that you bring back into the fold. And then you go get Jamari Butler and Patrick Payton and Jack Pyburn from the portal. All Power 4 transfers, all impactful players last year at their former stop. And you also bring in Damian Shanklin as a true freshman, top player in the state of Indiana, 4-star edge rusher, 6'5", 260, and a guy that the staff really likes from his early enrollment. So what do we know about this group? Well, Jack Pyburn, we already know, is more than capable of lining up on an SEC edge and knocking a tackle right in the teeth and going to tackle a running back. He's a relentless competitor, a relentless worker, bit of a crazy person on the field. And he was productive last year at Florida. 60 tackles from the edge. Savion Jones had a 3rd-round draft pick season. He made 40 tackles. Pyburn made 60. Now, you look at Pro Football Focus, 78.9 against the run. That's excellent. He was over a 75 against LSU and Ole Miss. And if you look at his last 7 games of the season, he was only credited with 1 missed tackle for Pro Football Focus. He's an excellent SEC run defender. But you also have to give the other side. He has 1 career sack at Florida in 29 games. 1, playing the edge. Now, reportedly, Pyburn left Florida because they didn't feel like they were going to play him a lot on 3rd downs. And while it's incredibly helpful in winning games for you to line up in 1st and 2nd down and make 60 tackles against the run, that helps teams win, it doesn't get you paid. And if Pyburn wants to be a substantial NFL draft pick that gets a nice signing bonus and a real chance to make a roster, he's going to have to play some on 3rd downs. And if Florida wasn't going to give him that option, which that's not me saying that, that's Matt had a Gator guest on his show when Pyburn transferred, and that was the inclination from Gainesville. Well, here's an opportunity. And we talked to Jack Pyburn in the spring, and he said, I work with Kevin Peoples every day. I do pass rush moves around my kitchen table all day. He is committed to being a better pass rusher, and his upside is huge. Then you look at, speaking of upside, Patrick Payton. And this is a guy, and I've used this statistic a lot, but we're easing back into football, and many of you may have forgotten it or didn't hear it the first time. But he had 16 sacks and 31.5 tackles for loss in 40 games at Florida State. If you want to put that in perspective, Kiki Mingo at LSU also played 40 games. he had 15 sacks, one fewer than Payton, and 29 TFLs, 2.5 fewer than Payton in his 40 games. So Payton has the size, 6'6", and the production of Kiki Mingo in the ACC. Now, you can look at Payton and go, okay, well, he had 14.5 tackles for loss 2 years ago, and then last year it went down to 11. He had 7 sacks 2 years ago. It went down to 4, and that's fair. He had 10 pass breakups 2 years ago, none this past year. All that's fair. Like, his production across the board dropped last year. But I also want to throw in the caveat here that the year prior, he was on a 13-0 team that should have gone to the playoffs. This past year, they were 2-10. When you face 90 fewer pass attempts, because you're always losing, it's harder to rack up sack numbers. So there are some that have questioned Payton's motor, some that have questioned the drop-off in production, and all that is what it is. But you can't take the entirety of his career there at Florida State and do anything but go, that guy gets a lot of pressure on quarterbacks. He's built like an NFL rusher, and I'm really excited to see what Patrick Payton can do. And then you look at Jamari Butler, who they brought in, and that's a guy who didn't really play football in high school. I didn't realize this, but he played basketball his first 3 years in high school. Well, Jamari Butler's 6'5", 260 now. Not a lot of help you can do on a basketball floor at 6'5", 260. So he played football his senior year, and Nebraska took a chance on him. And I would suggest that chance hit. He's had 48 total pressures over the last 2 years. He's got about a 10.5% pressure rate, and he was productive and physical at Nebraska. So you bring in those 3 guys who are not projects or not, well, he can do it against the FCS. No, these guys did it. Jamari Butler's best game last year was against Ohio State. Pretty good team. 3 TFLs and a sack against the Buckeyes. He can play at that level. Jack Pyburn kicked LSU's teeth in last year for a lot of the game. Patrick Payton has a monster career sack total at Florida State. Like, these guys can play, and you put them with Kevin Peoples, I'm excited about that. I'm also excited about Gabriel Reliford. He didn't get a lot of chance to play last year because Swinson and Jones took most of the reps. Now, Swinson had to sit out the beginning of the Florida game, and Reliford started that game, but you didn't see a ton of production, just half a sack, 10 tackles. But I think a lot of potential. He's big, 6'5", got size, 265. And we talked to him in the spring, and he was like, I was a little surprised when they went and just completely overhauled my position out of the transfer portal. But, hey, it's competition. He reassured the media, like, I'm here to fight, here to scrap, here to try to be in the lineup. And I think those 4 guys are your top 4. I think it's Pyburn, Payton, Butler, and Reliford. But I don't think you can completely rule out Dylan Carpenter. And I don't say that because of anything that I've seen. I say that because of things that I've heard. And you listen to LSU offensive linemen talk, and they tell you about Dylan Carpenter at practice. And he's a big old boy. Like, he's 6'4", he's 260 pounds, and he practices really hard too. And you hear about one-on-ones against Dylan Carpenter that are not a lot of fun. And so now he's had 2 years to kind of sit and season, gain some weight, gain some experience, work on his technique. I think he's a factor. And that becomes, to me, your top 6. I don't expect to see a ton from the other guys, Kalaj Cobbins, CJ Jackson, Damian Shaklin. Cobbins, I will say this, had a really nice early fall camp last year in some of the one-on-ones where he was going against freshmen and sophomore offensive linemen that weren't necessarily Will Campbell or Emory Jones. He won a lot of pass rush reps. He's a little bit undersized at 6'3", 240, but he's a pass rusher. So if Cobbins is in the game, that's a third down type of thing. And so to me, as I handicap this, it would surprise me a little bit if Pyburn didn't start. I think Pyburn's going to be in there. He's super high floor, and I think there's a ceiling there with the pass rush ability. But Pyburn's probably in there to start. I think on the other side to start right now, I would probably favor Butler and Reliford with Payton ready to go in a pass rush spot. Like, that's the way I think it's going to go right now. But they've got depth, they've got experience, they've got talent, and I just think that with Kevin Peoples calling the shots and showing me what he did last year with those 2 guys who, in not a small sample size, a total of 7 years, those two guys have not been a big factor in Jones and Swinson, and he got them to be really, really good players. I think at this point, if you look at last year's sack totals, Swinson, Jones, Womack, and Reliford, those four who played the most, combined for 14.5 sacks. I think this group and a healthy Perkins, I think you fly by that number, 20, 22, 23 sacks between the lot of them. And LSU last year finished 7th in the SEC in sacks. I see LSU this year in the top 4 in sacks. I think they have created that much talent, and I think they're going to be winning in some games, and I think Peoples is so good that I think they're going to get big, big sack totals, and they're going to have one of the more feared pass rushes in the SEC. That's just what I see from this group. It would shock me if LSU underperformed at defensive end and on the edge this year. I think that they've got the goods in what they need to be an excellent defensive front. I'm a little concerned about the defensive tackles, and that's because you just don't have a lot of proven commodities there. You do at edge, and I think LSU is going to be great on the defensive ends. If you want to read my entire piece on that, you can over at louisianasports.net. It is, of course, for free. You can read every position preview that we've done. Started at center, went to guard, tackle, tight end, wide receiver, running back, quarterback, defensive tackle, and edge now in the books. I'll do linebackers tomorrow. We'll branch out to cornerbacks on Thursday, and then we'll wrap the week with safeties on Friday. And that'll be it. We'll have access to LSU football practice by that point, so we'll be off and running. But if you want to get your football fix before LSU puts the helmets on, go check it out at louisianasports.net or wherever you find your sound at Hunt on LSU. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.